Hi, Tanya. What was your first computer?
My first computer, Adam, was I can't remember in the school. I didn't own computer at home at all. Um, my father didn't like us to own computer and do programming before we showed the interest that we are serious about it. So it was one of the school computers. It was just one of the IBM machines. I
Okay. So,
cannot recall.
a- and when you were allowed to use one computer at home?
Um, well, we had my father's kind of desktop. I don't remember which one was it, but we were kind of starting using that, and then over time we got our own PCs, and then we switched to laptops, and
So,
that was it.
so you never had something like C64 or ZX Spectrum, something like that?
No, I never had anything like that.
Oh, so you started with serious PC, IBM stuff.
Right.
And you like computers? So what was the story? So with computers and you?
So the story was really simple. My most of my family was in computers, and it was kind of near to me. It was just, I suppose, because of that, they thought that early programming or getting too close to programming very early on is maybe not indicator of true interest, but just kind of inherited interest, if you want to put it that way. So they were putting it off, although I was peeking across the shoulders here and there to see what's going on in there, and that seemed to be appealing. I also love the all the connections, and wiring and how everything works, and going into different labs and realizing, okay, there is a big machine over there, and there are little terminals over there, and somehow it's all connected and works. I love those, if you remember those rainbow wires. That seems so cool to me. And I was actually even stealing them and making stuff off of them. So all of it seemed to be very, very appealing.
You mean the rainbow wires inside the computer, right? Where there is a different colors, like, or what do you mean by rainbow?
You know how they were before we had those very little simple plug-in cables in order to connect the screens, right? You had these little exposed little wires that were colored, right?
Okay.
For and you can make stuff off of them. So stealing one of those was a very interesting, kiddish and childish thing to do.
Yeah, cool. But why you did it? So why you liked all this stuff? Do you wanted to build something special, or just as in my?
Oh, it was so. It took me quite a while to realize what I really liked. What I really liked about computers and programming in particular, because you can very, very easily see the results of your work, and it's really rewarding. You make something, you write something, and something happens, and it's almost instant. And I really, really enjoyed that part. And then over time, when I got a little bit more into programming and doing some of the kind of a little bit more advanced systems, if you wish, right? I was working on some daily ward of a hospital, right, which is admitting patients and distributing, assigning patients to a room. It seems so helpful to the personnel of the hospital, right? So it was kind of almost instantly rewarding to see the results of your work, and I really enjoy that part.
So as you started with computer, you just wanted to start with programming, or you were a little bit into games as well?
The game of choice for me was Tetris. I loved Tetris. Pac-Man was interesting, but Tetris was for me the best game ever.
On Game Boy or
and
PC?
Sorry?
On Game Boy or on PC, the Tetris?
On PC.
Okay.
On PC. On PC. You know, whenever I was tired, I was actually playing Tetris, and I could do it for hours. And then, luckily I stopped. Recently, I found Tetris. My kids found Tetris game on my phone, and you know what? I'm so happy I deleted that game. I loved it.
Okay.
I still love it.
Hey, cool. So what was your first Hello World? So you started programming, or the first program? I guess there was no Hello World back then. So what you did? What was your first program?
So it was something computational, very, very in language called BASIC. I'm sure you're familiar with that.
Yes.
And it was something, you know, computing something. I can't remember exactly what, but I really liked it. It seemed to be very logical and easy to do. So I enjoyed that part. And then I did. Let me remember Pascal. Mm-hmm. Quite a bit of Fortran, and then as we progressed, I did quite a bit of C and C++. Mm-hmm. I did even Fox Pro. Yeah. At some point. Mm-hmm. And then let me see. Yeah, mainly C and C++. And then that was, why I used to live in country named Yugoslavia, right? And then the trouble started there, and then I moved to Canada. Mm-hmm. And got exposed to SmallTalk. And that was a whole different world that I really, really, really enjoyed. And it's a different way of thinking. It's more mature. It's object oriented. At the time, I only that before I came to Canada, it's a very distant notion for me. But coming here and getting into the SmallTalk was really a new discovery. I really enjoyed that part. And then over time, of course, from SmallTalk, we kind of moved on to Java.
But it seems like you are a natural born programmer somehow. So you started just, coding, and you were into programming because it was logical, and you liked the computations, and then you just progress with that, right? So it seems to me like you just, were like better.
Oh yeah, like it was very natural to me. Like I had no doubt of doing. Like it's still, if I didn't choose this route, it would be still something in sciences. Like I don't think, like it could be either something related to math or physics or chemistry, but science and something very logical. So from that perspective, you're absolutely right. It was just a natural progression for me, I would say.
Okay. And you enjoyed BASIC, and then you wanted to learn something else. So why you just started with Turbo Pascal then, and why you learned new languages?
So it was also I was exposed to it, right? It was not necessarily that I have to, like, I wish I could tell you, oh, I was so interested, I was digging for a new language. But I was, for this reason or another, I was exposed to it. Mm-hmm. And then it seemed a little bit more complex. It seemed like a step forward, getting advancing from BASIC to Pascal, mm-hmm. And then Fortran as well. Mm-hmm. And it seemed that it could do more than BASIC. So mm-hmm. that's how it happened. I don't know if that's noble enough reason, but that's what happened.
No, it's actually amazing. So I interviewed a couple of people, but usually most of the programmers started playing and they wanted to modify the games, and then they were into programming, and you are one of the few who really just like programming. It started with programming, which is amazing.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Yeah, I don't. I guess I don't talk to people about how that all started for them. But yeah, that's how it started for me.
Yeah, perfect.
It just, yeah.
And okay, and also amazing that you started actually in Yugoslavia, so I didn't knew that. And okay, and then you moved to Canada. And how you switch from Turbo Pascal to SmallTalk? So it was probably first it was a shock for you, I guess. It's completely different.
Yeah.
And why you started with SmallTalk? So what was the story behind SmallTalk?
Oh, okay. So it's again not very noble, but it just exposure driven. So I came to Canada, started looking for jobs, and there was a small little company that well, there were a couple of companies called me for an interview. Most of them working in C++, but there was a small little company that seemed to be very interesting from, talking to interviewers, and they worked in SmallTalk. Everything about that particular company was appealing to me. And that's what happened. I said, okay, let's give it a try. So I got at the time, was it a 3 or 6 months probation? And it was, they were fully aware that I have never heard of SmallTalk before. But I guess they were willing to take a chance. And, it was a fabulous experience for me. So, very, very different. I got a lot of support from my colleagues. It was a mind shift in a way. And again, to me, it was so clean and logical and easy to fix the problem once you have it that I truly enjoyed it. Very shortly I learned the buzz of the day is object-oriented programming, right? So it was comforting to know that I'm at the right spot. And it was a lot of, also another thing that I particularly enjoyed within that company and the way they were giving people ability to learn something new is as soon as you learn, you start teaching. So that kind of deepened my knowledge. It forced me to deepen my knowledge, my English, my exposure to the professionals in the area. I really enjoyed it.
Hey, cool. And what was the name of the company?
Oh, the name of the company was The Object People.
Yeah, this is what I thought. So this was actually, you are very lucky. It was like almost like Sun Microsystems for Java. It was the Object People for SmallTalk almost, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so I was, it was definitely a good choice, cool. I would say.
And you studied computer science as well?
Yeah. Like I actually, you mean in terms of the formal education?
Yeah.
Yeah. I actually finished. The faculty is called the Electrical Engineering.
Okay.
But the Department of Computer Engineering.
And was it hard for you, or was it easy going?
You know what? Like, I have to say that I didn't enjoy digital electronics as much or electromagnetics. So, the computer engineering part, the computer part was again, very interesting. So that affirmed my decision to go into computers, right?
Okay, cool. And so the next question regarding the object people. So what you programmed the first year there? So what was your job? So what were the use cases?
My job, so it was, let me think. It was, I think it was some consulting assignment, but it was brought in-house to work on some banking system. Where I was primarily focused on designing on, the objects and how they interact and doing the diagrams, and then fixing some bugs. That was the starting point. There was also connecting to the database, and you know, as you may know, the object people became very known for their product TopLink, which was the communication between the object-oriented world and the relational databases. So very soon, kind of, I was involved in that part as well. But the first job was some banking assignment and doing the data modeling and object modeling.
So with your C and C++ background, what was your reaction to SmallTalk? You liked that immediately, or was it, you know, what is your first impression?
It took me first impression. So it looked very clean and kind of organized. But it took me a while to figure out how objects communicate and messaging between objects. You know, it's very different from C++. So it was initially very challenging. You know, in my mind, even today, the objects communicate like people, you know. If I want to tell you something, I have to say, hey, Adam,
yeah.
I want to talk to you, right?
Yeah.
So, and that made complete sense to me as well. You know, I really enjoy that part. So for that reason, you know, I really liked SmallTalk, and I'm really sorry that SmallTalk does not have as much presence in the industry as Java does, right? Java took over.
Yeah. I think it was, I don't know, I guess 10 years ago. So one of my clients was forced to move from SmallTalk to Java because of support reasons. And I had to help the SmallTalk developers to migrate their own application from SmallTalk to Java with TopLink. So this was like, this was a Fed client application. And the problem was, of course, the SmallTalk developers really like SmallTalk, and you know, they look at me and say, crappy Java, you know, who I was like the necessary evil, you know, to help them to migrate, but they didn't want it to migrate actually. And this was funny experience for both of us. So at the end, they admitted Java is actually usable, and I appreciated SmallTalk a little bit more. And there was actually interesting dynamics between us. And what I remember is the first question was how to implement blocks in Java. It's like, blocks? Why you need blocks? It's like, in SmallTalk, everything is a block. And a block. And what they also did, also what we end up having is a super clean design with Java. So this was no waste. It was just like we had inheritance on Java level. So there was just Java objects persisted with back then TopLink for Java, so no more for SmallTalk. And the interesting part is they also had a meta inheritance. So this was new for me. So they had, like, you know, the classes, the inner classes were inherited as well, and they did some interesting stuff which was not obvious to me as a Java developer. So this was really interesting learning experience, and I meet them over and over again. Now they are no more programmers; they are like managers, some of them. And I still, you know, cheating. So, do you like Java? I say, no, yeah, it's okay, it's doable. But, you know, they still remember the old SmallTalk days. And they showed me the IDE from SmallTalk. And what I didn't like in SmallTalk in the workbench was, so there was no clean separation between runtime and the IDE. So it seemed to me like, you know, you just programming inside the language, which is, of course, an advantage for me as Java developer was strange, because I was usually, you know, back then with Eclipse, I've wrote lots of code in Eclipse, and it was compiled, and then I run the code. But they edited on the live code, so at least it seemed to me like that. So this was like, for me, it was like a little strange experience, you know, the first few days. But then I really liked the SmallTalk experience, actually.
Right. So I have to say I'm not one, like, I know in the industry you are either a Mac lover or Windows lover, and you know, or SmallTalk lover or Java lover. I was never that hardcore opinionated person in terms of the technology. You like something or you don't, and I guess very early I kind of realized it's business driven. So I do learn, or I'm one of those that I'm appreciating the best of whatever comes along. So I enjoyed my SmallTalk days.
Yeah.
And I did enjoy Java, equally. So it's all good.
So
I just wanted to underline that. I'm not one of those hardcore, like it has to be Smalltalk or nothing else.
No.
So it was nice and simple.
The criticism regarding Java from the programmers was not because they didn't like Smalltalk or whatever. It's because Smalltalk had some concepts and Java hadn't back then. I think it was Java 5 or JDK 1.4, so it was early days of Java. And what I understood is the Smalltalk is no more that popular because of some management mistakes in the runtime. So it seems like there were some licensing issues or something like this, and this is why Java took over.
But I also think it was natural for tons of C and C++ programmers to move. It was much easier to move to Java than Smalltalk.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
So and if you look, not that I'm looking very heavily into new languages, but even Python now, is like they're all rooted in something that was started with C. In my opinion, right? So it's easier to pick up the language from that perspective.
Yeah.
So I think that's also a contributor why Java took over.
Mm-hmm. And what was your road to Java? So you just did some work with TopLink. So have you programmed TopLink or you just used TopLink? So what was the story with TopLink and you?
So a story with TopLink, so I was just initially involved in product development, but I was mainly on the consulting side. Mm-hmm. So I was using TopLink on consulting assignments. And, if we were discovering any problems, then I would work with a development team consultant to figure out what the issue is and how to fix it and how to, serve the clients better. So, and then later on, actually, my consulting role has changed. And I got a little bit more involved in the TopLink, but that happened a little bit later on once the acquisition of the Object People as a company started, because I eventually ended up with Oracle, but through TopLink.
Mm-hmm. But
even though I was not.
Mm-hmm. But the first acquisition was WebGain, I think, right?
The first acquisition was WebGain. Yes, correct. So it was an interesting story just because I was, as I was saying, I was on the consulting side of the Object People, and consulting was acquired by the BEA, right? Exactly. Mm-hmm. And the product side, which is TopLink, was acquired by WebGain. So it was a little bit of a personal story because both me and my husband were working for the Object People at the time, and both of us were on the consulting side. So both of us went to the BEA. And then we thought that's not necessarily a very smart idea for both of us to go to BEA. So one of us decided, and it happens to be me, to go to the product side, which meant WebGain. Mm-hmm. And at the time, what WebGain needed is, as a small company, they needed to organize a support team. Mm-hmm. So, because we didn't have support team during the Object People per se. So I was kind of helping leading that effort. So kind of communication between the development team and organizing kind of first tier support, second tier support, and being, I don't know, maybe my title was team lead or something like that. And that was going on for maybe not that long, maybe a year or so, until Oracle acquired us. And that was a whole different world, just because it's a huge company. They were trying to fit us in their application server, and they were not really. The processes for acquisition were not that well defined, so it was very interesting how much time it took them to even start paying attention on TopLink. So in the meanwhile, we served our customers as if nothing was happening. It was a confusing time for everyone, but our customers didn't. I don't think they felt it. So we were working with our customers. TopLink was doing well, and then after 2 years, we start communicating a little bit more with the Oracle application server. However, again, it was in the next year or so, I think Oracle acquired the BA systems, which was, funny because, it seems it was destined to end up in Oracle this way or another, right?
So back to your husband, right? So you you were stuck. You were stuck with your husband again, right?
Yeah. In the meanwhile, he left BA. So it wasn't the husband-wife thing anymore with Oracle. But I was with Oracle. I stayed with Oracle for quite some time.
Oh, I didn't knew that. I didn't knew that. I thought you just you are from working for Eclipse forever. So I didn't knew that you actually work for Oracle as well.
No. I actually started with Eclipse relatively recently.
Okay.
So yeah. It's been a year and something, year and a half maybe.
Okay.
So yeah. I'm not that long with Eclipse at all. But with Oracle, I stayed quite a bit, and I moved into at some point into the program management.
Okay.
And I was really focused on that, and I was doing the program management in the area of the middleware, their middleware suite, various products, but everything related to either application server, TopLink, IDEs, Java was the central point either way. And then eventually once the cloud came in, I got involved into that as well.
Very cool.
So it's been actually, now that I look back, most of my time was actually with Oracle. Yeah.
Okay.
That's it.
And with the TopLink stuff, so in one point of time, TopLink was migrated to Java. Were you also involved in this process?
Yes, I was involved in that part as well. Yeah.
When was it? Was it at the Object People time or later?
It was at the Object People. Yes. The Object People at some point start, realize that Java is taking over the world. So that's how we got involved in Java. We worked. We were also developing courses, right? So training materials. So it was covering Java application servers. Anything that's very shortly became middleware, right?
So the WebGain company actually acquired the Java TopLink, right?
Yes, Java TopLink for sure.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And in one point of time, TopLink was open source to the Eclipse DALI project. Were you involved in that?
So that's during the Oracle time. So Oracle has decided to actually have the I think that they called it Eclipse Link, right?
Eclipse
Link,
exactly,
contributed to Eclipse Foundation. Yes. So, and what they did, they contributed the Eclipse link to the open source, and what they had as their commercial product is the version that is shipped with Oracle application server. That would be the supported version of TopLink, right? The Eclipse link, what was contributed in open source was, worked on by the community and supported by the community.
Mm-hmm. And the Project DALI was just the Eclipse plugin to model all the stuff. So it was like the IDE part of the Eclipse link project. Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
What's
and I wasn't. Mm-hmm.
What interests me is, you were a hardcore programmer. In one point of time, you started to be a team leader or manage people. So why? So I would say, why you didn't just keep programming? So why you started with managing and all the program stuff?
Okay, so it was interesting as well because once I went into this completely different world of support, right? Mm-hmm. That didn't involve as much of programming, other than analyzing the code and figuring out what's wrong in there, right? Mm-hmm. But at that time, again, it was need driven. There were so many issues to handle, right? So there was a need to work with the people who would actually, multiple people who would start figuring out and analyzing the issues. Excuse me. And then, it was basically not necessary. I was just in the position there. And it seemed to me it was again very, very nice to work with people for a change, and I enjoyed it, and that's how it went. One thing led to another. Let me put it that way. There were many issues. There was just one me, and it seemed to me that it seemed very natural to talk to people and organize things. So I enjoyed that part as well.
Mm-hmm. Do you miss the programming days, or
Not really. I have to tell you, not really. Like sometimes, every once in a while, I would. Actually, I'm almost lucky because my son is getting into programming. So every once in a while, I sit down with him. See what's going on. He shows me things around. I ask a couple of questions. He gets surprised. Oh, look, Mom knows that, right? That's about it. So I don't necessarily, I would say that I miss it, but I'm totally happy and content being involved in the technology from the higher level perspective, like what's going on and why. Open source makes sense, and how is this progressing? This whole industry is progressing into cloud, and how are we moving customers to cloud? All of that is very interesting to me. Programming itself, it seems, and to be honest, it seems like a very, very big stretch for me to catch up on that again. It's so developed right now, and so much change that I would really seriously have to invest some time to get back into it.
I don't think so, because you skipped.
Maybe I should try it then.
Yeah, because you are lucky. You skipped the 15 years of ugly XML and ESB stuff. And now we are.
Oh, maybe, that's an excellent point, Adam. Yeah, you're right.
And now it looks like almost, I would say, a clean Jakarta EE and microprofile project. Looks like domain-driven SmallTalk classes with a couple of facets, and you are golden. Actually, they are the best projects I saw. And whenever it becomes too complicated, it usually some strange. Developers try to show off, but the well-run projects are very simple. So I would say I think you would need probably 1 day, and you are completely in. So this is
Okay.
So
As soon as I find that 1 day, I'll talk to you.
Yeah, we should. So this would be the experiment, So absolutely. Yes. And your son, which programming language he enjoying right now?
I think he's doing Java. Yeah.
Hey, cool. So I thought JavaScript is easier, but Java, I think, with Minecraft, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
So let me see. I'm thinking what else. I think he was doing Python as well. Obviously, C and C++ are must, but
must. Okay.
Yeah, well, that's part of the education. Like they I think which I believe is a good thing with the C and C++ to get the knowledge of that. But I think he was doing his term in the Nokia this summer, and they were doing Java.
Hey, cool. So knowing you, he's lucky that he hadn't start with with assembler, I think.
We could say. Well, we had that in school as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Perfect. So this is amazing because you are so straight into programming, so you have enough time to talk about Jakarta a little bit. So now the interesting part, how you switched to Eclipse. So what is the road to Eclipse and to Jakarta? So it's like you stick with Oracle and all the Java and cloud and middleware stuff in one point of time. What's the point with Jakarta EE Eclipse and how you started there?
So, I'm based in Ottawa, right? And Eclipse Foundation is here in Ottawa as well. And there was an opening for Jakarta EE Program Manager. So it's I saw the opening. I know a lot of people in the Eclipse Foundation. We start talking about it, and it seemed like a very, very good and natural fit for me. Just because I was in the industry for a while, I am very familiar with the Java EE, and looking into moving Java EE, into open source, into Eclipse Foundation, and renaming it to Jakarta EE, and preparing it for the cloud, right? Cloud era, if you want, seemed to be really a cool thing to do. So that's how I got into Eclipse Foundation. So I started, what was that, in 98. Summer 98, and we're just into early 2020, so it's been a year and a half. Yeah, and it is extremely interesting. It's never a dull moment. Is equally challenging and rewarding, and working with all these companies and figuring out how to ensure the progress on and continuation of the Java enterprise world is extremely interesting.
Mm-hmm. We met the first time, I think, at the JAX conference in Mainz. So you had a booth. Yeah. So you were pretty fresh at Eclipse then, right?
Yes. I was, I think that was my second talk ever. Within Eclipse Foundation. So yeah, and as you heard, I wanted to meet Adam Bean, so that's how I, got to talk to you, see one of your talks, and that was a great experience.
And
I
was really surprised because I walk around and there is a huge Eclipse booth with Jakarta in Java. What's going on? There are marketing people promoting Jakarta. So I was, and you did a really great job because back then there was nothing like that. So I really enjoyed it. This was interesting, and I didn't knew your background. So I was at EclipseCon. and I had a chat with the Phil, and Phil said, okay, you have to talk to Tanya. He's the true hacker. It's like, Tanya, yes. Like, okay, so I will do it. So this is the story, behind the conversation right now. Interesting. So this was also very, I would say, lucky accident, right? So you with your Oracle and Java middleware background, and in your town there is Eclipse Foundation, and you could this is like incredible, right?
Yes, that's totally. That's why I'm like, I don't want to give the impression that, this was the whole my life was carefully planned, that this is exactly what I wanted to
But
do.
it looks like, from the outside, it looks exactly like that.
Yeah, exactly. But no, that's not what happened. Like it just, we could call it luck or, natural progression. But it seems to fit. And as long as we're all enjoying it, that's the, I guess, the key part. So, I'm from that perspective, I do feel lucky.
And your husband is also working for Eclipse? No.
No, that would be too much. Adam, that would be way too much.
Yeah, this would be stop. We would stop recording right here because this will be mission impossible.
Yeah. No, that's not.
Okay.
Although was it last year? Yeah, last year my son was at the Eclipse conference Europe, and he was volunteering over there. So some family involvement in open source is always appreciated.
Cool. So now, Jakarta EE, what's the state? I mean, is it a lots of work for you? So what's your impression of the whole thing right now?
So it's a huge amount of work. As you know, we just released, not just, but in September, we released Jakarta EE 8, which is equivalent of Java EE 8. The whole project is extremely complex. The project to move from Oracle to Eclipse Foundation, the whole process is very demanding and challenging from many aspects. The least challenging aspect is the code itself, right? There is this governance process, there is the legal aspects, there is marketing and branding aspect. There is a aspect of figuring out how this Jakarta EE working group is going to operate, collaborate, and actually produce versions of Jakarta EE. And with this first version released, we all felt a huge sigh of relief because we really realized that things are clicking in and working almost to what we desire. We're fine-tuning our processes, and as you may have heard, we are well into starting to work onto the release 9. So very late in the 2019, the Jakarta EE platform project team has come up with the release plan for the Jakarta EE 9. And, that is now being reviewed by the specification committee. And we're expecting actually this week from not that I want to reveal much, but peeking through the votings, I fully expect that the plan will be approved this week. So we will be starting on the release night. So we have also finalized our planning for the this year, 2020. So we have the program plan, we have the marketing plan, and, I think everything is indicating we're in extremely good shape with Jakarta EE. So, this is going to be, in my opinion, extremely important year for Jakarta EE. Why is that? Because, we did have one release that is completely equivalent to Java EE 8. Now we're progressing and addressing the issue. I'm sure everyone is familiar with the JavaX namespace and restrictions around that. So moving into Jakarta namespace and preparing the whole, preparing Jakarta EE for the, let's say, real world, right? So hopefully, like there is also ambition to start working on in parallel almost on the individual specs, so not for the platform spec and web profile, but for the individual spec to allow them to evolve independently. So that will allow us to release version 10 even faster, right?
Okay.
So this would be the defining year in terms of the, putting all the processes so we can innovate faster. We can determine the cadence of the releases and, really establish Jakarta EE as extremely appealing solution to the customers worldwide.
The Big Bang Jakarta namespace is set in stone, right? This will happen.
Yes. Well, that's what community voted on, and that's what our release plan is proposing. So yes, we are leaning, strongly leaning. I don't want to be final just because it's
of
not
course,
voted on. But yes, we're strongly leaning towards that.
This was perfect, yeah. This is also it has to be, because this is the new world, the new open source world. In case everything is Jakarta, is just perfect. So yeah. Are you also involved with microprofile or just Jakarta?
Well, I am involved in microprofile, but not to the extent of as to Jakarta EE.
Okay.
Yes, so I'm involved. I do attend some of their meetings whenever Jakarta EE allows me. But yes, I am definitely involved in that also.
Okay. What are the main challenges right now with the Jakarta EE process for you? So what is the mission impossible, or everything is resolved, or what's your impression right now?
In terms of the process?
Not in process, just in general. So
So the challenges are so far the challenges were figuring out what is the priority. How do we want to proceed from Jakarta E8? How do we evolve at the same time as doing the renaming of the namespace? How do we make releases and make sure that we are on the radar in the community versus release something that is totally fabulous and fresh, right? So all of that seem actually to be settling down right now, and it seems that there is a strong preference to address one problem at the time, one bigger problem at the time, and then do more frequent releases, and then invite people to get familiar with what Jakarta EE is, start experimenting with it, exploring, invite existing application servers to move with ease to Jakarta EE, so Jakarta E8 and then 9. So it just incremental, smaller steps, as opposed to one big one where we will be completely innovative and address all the inherited problems. So that was the main challenge. Now the second challenge is really making sure that all the enterprise Java developers, right, are fully plugged in and aware of what Jakarta EE is offering and what Jakarta EE is attempting to do for the future of enterprise Java. So having people contributing to open source, having people participate and get plugged in, considering that, for a while Java EE was not really evolving as much, and a lot of people were kind of starting to look elsewhere. That was the main challenge. That is I would say, the main challenge. So getting back on the radar and making sure that we're having continuous incremental releases of Jakarta EE.
As programmer, so have you changed do you have the chance to look at the Jakarta EE application? So a little bit on the code. So how would it feel like, with the Jakarta RS and or Java EE, JAX RS and all the stuff? Have you a chance to look at the code? I mean, as application code?
No, I did not. Like right now, we're totally hands down on organizing and preparing stuff. Looking at the code, I didn't have a chance to look into that at all.
Interesting, because the perception is like the Jakarta EE and Java EE is like complex and enterprisey, and the cool story is for me, it is just the simplicity what I like the most, and the simplicity is almost like I think it was the same in SmallTalk. You had one runtime, you downloaded the runtime, and you could just start programming. And this is the same with Jakarta EE. So you just, download the Jakarta EE API, and then you can just start coding. So for me as a developer, it's a huge time saver. So this is why I'm asking whether you had, the possibility to look at the actual code. Because from outside, if you look at the specs, it looks like very complex. But in the reality, it's like you need a subset of this, but in case, you really need something, there's there. This is more like an operating system for building business apps.
And actually, that's an excellent point that you're raising. I think that's also the perception that we need to change, because yes, both Java EE and now Jakarta EE are synonyms for complexity, right? Mm-hmm. And this huge code that you need to deal with. And that is something that we need to address and change. That will be on to-do list for sure.
Yeah, but so my feedback is the simplicity.
It's not.
Yeah, it's not.
Yeah.
And why it's so simple is because you get everything at once. And if we will introduce a lots of profiles or how to call it modules, then it would be more complex to use it, because then you have to decide upfront, which modules do make sense in my app. And now I can just start coding, and in one point of time I can just optimize it, but I don't have to optimize upfront, which is a huge time saver for me.
Mm.
Cool.
Yep.
So now, where people can find you, Tanya? So do you have a Twitter account and blog?
Yeah. So my Twitter account is very, very simple. It's at Tanya Eclipse. If you look me up at LinkedIn, it's Tanya Obradovic.
Mm-hmm.
My blog is actually on Jakarta EE blogs. So if you just search for Tanya Obradovic blog, it will pop up. Do visit jakarta.ee, and from there, under resources, you will find our blogs. Tons of interesting articles. Adam, I see your articles all the time. I'm so happy that you're part of those. But yeah, and I would invite people to attend our tech talks, one starting in about 15 minutes. There are regular monthly Jakarta EE update calls for the community. We're tweeting about it. I'm sending emails about it, and do feel free, everyone, to reach out to me with any questions related to Jakarta EE.
Perfect. And our
as well.
Jakarta E1 session is all the talks are recorded and available via YouTube as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So Jakarta One live stream was a great success in September 2019. It is all available even if you go to jakarta1.org. There are still recordings there. We are preparing a lot of different instances of Jakarta One live stream. The one that is going to happen is in February, end of February. I think it's February 26th in Japan, in Japanese.
Wow.
So for Japanese-speaking Java programmers, we will have Jakarta One live stream Japan, February 26th. We will likely organize other language-specific Jakarta One live streams, but we are going to work on the live streams for in English as well. So stay tuned. A lot of interesting things will come around.
Hey, Tanya, I cannot do MC for Japan, so it's impossible for me.
Oh, well, you don't have to do for Japan, but you know, we know what you can do, so don't worry, you'll be influenced.
Okay, thank you. Bye.